come up front and see Miss Swanson. She can help you out. To avoid meeting disruptions, place your cell phone in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. All meetings are recorded. When addressing the council, please sign in, state your name, and speak clearly into the microphone. Line item 1, introductory items. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If Councilman Mendoza would lead us in that, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Roll call. Ward 1, Councilman Hanna is present. Ward 2, Councilwoman Zaworski is present. Ward 3, Councilman Lau is present. Ward 4, Councilman Torres is present. And Ward 5, Councilman Mendoza is present. At the last meeting, I had announced that Councilman Torres's absence was excused. We'll now move on to line item 1.3, public forum. This portion of the meeting devoted to the public. Public may comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Items not included on this agenda cannot be acted upon other than to place them on a future agenda. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or raise your hand featured Zoom, *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. The mayor may, at his discretion, hold comment till the second public forum at the end of the meeting. Public comments submitted prior to 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be provided to City Council and added to the record, but will not be read during a live meeting. Any public input received after 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be included in the record, but may not reach council members before action is taken. Is there any public input at this time?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record.
Do you have the microphone on?
I do now. Lowell Patton for the record, 1000 Truckee Lane. I'm here tonight representing Main Street Fernley as its president. I owe you guys an update, and I apologize. I was going to do it last time, but the flu that's going around really got me. And I think I got a sinus infection now, so maybe I'm just allergic to the meetings. So I just wanted to update you up on the dais. You have a brochure that was part of our FCTA funded Drive to It, Not Through It campaign that was in conjunction with a billboard we had over between Logan Lane and I-80 for a bit earlier or later last year. We also recently received information that we are going to be awarded I'll just do round numbers, $32,000 grant from Nevada Main Street and the Governor's Office of Economic Development. That's for a project at the Main Street Art Park. We're going to put that gazebo in that, I think it was October when the item was presented to you guys for consideration. And so we're going to put that metal art gazebo in where the Burning Man structure was before. And that grant also includes some geotechnical reporting, grading reporting, and drainage reporting to allow future improvements to the west side of that art park, because that's going to be a requirement of the city for any future construction there. So Main Street Fernley's match for that is $16,500, and Nevada Main Street's grant is $31,500. There was more than double the amount requested than funding was available, but they made a point in their letter to say that they fully funded our application because they liked our project. We just closed out our 2024 grant, which was for the crosswalk over here at the end of Silver Lace across to the west end of the Main Street Art Park. We received about $17,000 for that of a $22,000 project, and Main Street Fernley matched the other $5,000, give or take. And that was installed just, I guess, a week before Christmas, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas. But now you can safely cross their within a crosswalk. And it should be noted that NDOT actually donated and installed the crosswalk striping itself. The grant covered the signs and the yield markings in advance. We have our 2026 facade grant program open. Go to our website, please. That's mainstreetfernley.org. And there's also sponsorship available there. And that's my time, but I'll answer any questions if you
Okay,
have
thank
any.
you. I was going to say you need to wrap it up. 3 minutes is up. Any questions from council? I just want to say thank you. It looks great. Keep up the good work on making
Okay.
Main Street look good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Bill Wilsey. I've already signed up the sheet here. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the candidates that are going to be interviewed for a city manager's position later tonight, to showing an interest in the city and coming and presenting themselves. That's real nice. And I wish them both the best of luck during the interview process. And if one of them should be selected tonight, I look forward to getting to know them in the weeks and months ahead. I had 5 years on city manager staff in Salinas, California, years ago, and my brother had 10 years in deputy city manager in Santa Barbara. So I kind of come by this whole thing naturally. And it's nice to be here and see the city moving forward, hopefully. One last comment about the acoustics in this room. We all know they're not quite what we'd like them to be, and you spent a lot of money on improving the PA system. But I would encourage anyone who speaks this evening to remember, in the audience, we'd like to be able to understand and hear what's being said. You'll notice I'm speaking slowly and I'm enunciating clearly. I hope that helps, because sometimes sitting out there, even with $5,000 worth of hearing aids, I can't understand what's going on. So point made, I hope, and good luck to you tonight in the process of selecting a city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Some of us are short. I want to thank Barry for keeping me informed on what's going on with the fire hydrants. I really appreciate that, because what happens a lot of times is the citizens bring up suggestions, comments, and we don't hear anything about what's happening. And I think that's a lot of frustration within the Fernley residents, is topics are brought up, and then it's like it's behind this brick wall that the Fernley doesn't know what's going on. And it would be nice to have more information on that, follow up, that we all know what the status is. And then Big Oaks outside of Southwest Meadows, we keep having a gas tanker parking in the residential area. And I know it's outside of our subdivision, but it's, the street's owned by the city of Fernley, or that property. What I found out today is, as long as it is 100 feet outside of a residential area, it's fine. But it doesn't differentiate between a regular commercial hauling truck and a commercial gas tanker. My concern is something would happen with that gas tanker, 100 feet or not. There's going to be shrapnel and, as somebody stated, heat. So it'd be nice to have a regulation about no gas tankers parked in a residential parking area, and the proper places would be at gas stations or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor McIntyre, council. John Reich, line Ward 2, and staff. Hoping that you all have a pleasant and happy year as we go 2 weeks or so into the new year. Along with the rest of you, let's hope and pray that the weakest and most vulnerable of our friends and neighbors are finding that they are being provided with adequate food, water, and housing. That if we can prevent it, they will not need to go without these basic necessities during the coming months. Topic water. And that could lead us all over the place, but I have specific topics regarding water. I would like to focus on the relationship of one of our basic resources and one of the projects associated with water, and that is the Truckee Canal. The other one has to do with whatever happens with water and any possible data centers. I'm not going to talk about data centers tonight, just the Truckee Canal. Reading from my notes, last year I brought before the council my concerns regarding the Carson Truckee Irrigation District's practice of piling up muck that was dredged from the canal and placing it on top or along the edge of the dikes. As I have said previously, it is evident to me after numerous observations that this cyclical practice on the part of the TCID has led to the dispersion of dredged residue whenever there are windy conditions in our neighborhoods. In addition to the other toxins that have been determined to have accumulated in our waterways, we are all too familiar with the so-called forever chemicals or PFAS that have been discovered there too. I am asking that the City Council make concerted efforts to have this procedure terminated as soon as possible with the Carson Truckee Irrigation District, number one. Number two, and I've asked this before of the council, periodic updates on the status of the canal. What are they going to do next? Any further canal lining? And are they going to pass the process?
If you could wrap it up, please. Your
Yes,
time's
yes.
up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any additional costs passed on to the residents? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Is there any other public input at this time? Is there anybody on Zoom, Ms. Swanson? No, nobody on the phone. Okay. We will now move on to line item 1.4, approval of the agenda. Councilman Lau.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Before I take a vote on the approval of the agenda, if I could, I would like to pull line item 5.1. Is it 5.1? No. What is it? 2.8 off the consent agenda. I have
Point of
spoke-
order, excuse me, Mayor, we usually do that when we get to the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah. You good? Okay. Okay, go ahead. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries 5-0. Now, moving on to line item 2, consent agenda. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Hannon.
thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with 2.8 removed. Councilwoman Zaberski has agreed to do 2-year term for Mayor Pro Tem, as did her predecessor. So we wish her the best.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Hannon, seconded by Councilman Lau. Please vote. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
I want to speak about line item 2.7, if I may. I need to go back and we have these committees that was approved on the consent agenda. And we have a few spots that have never met, and there's no committee. And we also have positions to fill. One of them would be the capital improvement. We have Councilman Hannon, and I'm looking for a member of this council to also sit on that council. This capital improvement committee. Councilwoman Zaberski.
I'll sit on that one.
Okay. And then we also have Nevada League of Cities. As president, we have Councilwoman Zaberski, City Attorney's Office, and looking for one other person to sit on that. Councilman Torres.
Mr. Mayor, do we need to add somebody? I don't mind staying on that.
You're,
I'm the president this year as well.
well, Councilman Torres, you're on Nevada's League of Cities Legislative Committee. So you also want to be on the Nevada League of Cities team, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay,
I'm going to be at the meetings anyway, so.
correct. That's good. That we can get updates from you on that. The next one is Western Nevada Development District. I have myself and Acting City Manager Lydia Altek on that. Councilman Torres, is that one you're already on?
Yeah, I'm the secretary treasurer of that.
You're the alternate, so I can move you from the alternate to sitting on the committee,
Yeah,
if that's fine. And
Yes,
then
sir.
I'll need somebody for alternate on that. Councilman Mendoza, okay. And then Lyon County Room Tax Board, right now we have Councilman Mendoza and looking for an alternative on that. Councilman Hannon,
Mr. Mayor, I'll volunteer for that.
okay. Next, we're looking at Neighborhood Watch Representative. This committee, I believe that we need to disband this committee. There is no committee and they've never had a meeting, so we're looking at disbanding that one. And that would be, who sat on that committee was Councilwoman Zaberski and Councilman Hannon. So we're looking at dissolving that committee. We are also looking at dissolving the Art and Culture Committee. They've never met and there's no committee there. So we're looking at dissolving both of those committees.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Zaberski.
our Arts and Culture Committee was meeting pretty consistently, but April was kind of running that. So we have met. We've had meetings. So I
Oh,
don't,
okay.
have you talked to April about
I talked with
that committee?
Ms. Swanson.
Yeah, April was running those and we were having some consistent
Okay.
meetings, so I would check in
Okay,
with her
yeah, no,
first
no,
before we disband
We can
them.
keep that committee alive and going.
Okay.
That's good. Neighborhood, like I say, we'll disband the Neighborhood Watch representative because we don't have a Neighborhood Watch committee. Next, I need a Northern Nevada Development Authority alternate. Presently, we have myself, Councilman Torres, and Councilman Mendoza.
I can be an alternate.
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned you. Looking for a alternate for Regional Transportation Commission. Currently, we have Councilman Torres on that. Okay. Councilman Hannon.
I'll volunteer for that.
Okay. And then the STEM committee, we have currently Councilman Hannon, and I'm looking for an alternative on that committee. Anybody
I'll be an
interested?
alternate on that. I got small kids.
Okay. City Attorney Mortensen, do we need to have a vote on this at this time? It was approved in consent agenda, but I just put people on it.
It was, but since we did all of the placement afterwards, let's go ahead and have another motion to approve.
Okay, looking for a motion to accept the mayor's appointment to the various boards and committees and deleting one, Councilman Torres.
I make a motion to approve the committees and selections as stated.
Councilman Hannon. Okay, we had a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilman Hannon. Please vote. And the motion carries 5-0. So what I'll do is I will have Ms. Swanson send each individual council member a new list of the updates of the committees that were just voted on. We'll now move to line item 3. This item is for various public entity representatives to provide general information to the council and public. No action will be taken at this time. I see our Chief Deputy Mitch Branningham is here.
Chief Deputy Mitch Branningham, Lyon County Sheriff's Office. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having me. Happy New Year to everybody. It's been a pretty administrative couple of weeks for us around the Sheriff's Office, wrapping up 2025 and getting all the things pushed out into the agency for 2026. We're preparing and have spent the last couple of weeks preparing our annual reports. I'm expecting to have that at either the next meeting or the latest, the one after that. It's just kind of getting the final numbers all put together right now and getting the presentation of it handled. So we should see that very, very soon. And I'm looking forward to bringing you guys copies of that and having something to put up for the community to see. We'll have the QR codes for everybody, as well as having that on the website and social media, so people can keep their eyes out for that. And it may be available and likely will before I'm able to bring it to the next meeting. We did have one incident just before the first of the year that I wanted to talk about this evening. On December 28th, right before 5:30 here in town, deputies responded to a call for service over at the area of East Newlands near the McDonald's. We had a disturbance over in that area. When the deputies got there, they contacted a man named Salvador Herrera Rosas. And Salvador had been throwing rocks at the McDonald's windows. And then he proceeded to take off on foot, and he was throwing rocks at Jack in the Box, KFC, and Panda Express also. Deputies searched the area for him. They ultimately located and apprehended him. I did a brief interview with him on the side of the road. During that interview, they were not able to obtain any motive for why he was doing this, aside from just causing damage and mayhem in the downtown corridor over there. But during that interview, he did admit to these actions, as well as directing the deputies over to the Washington Federal Bank, where he had also been throwing rocks at their windows. So he was taken into custody for 5 counts of destruction of property. One of those counts being over $5,000, which is a heavier felony penalty. And he is currently in our custody. Other incidences going on around the city have been reasonably minor. We have some things on the horizon that are going on, but we had a reasonably peaceful New Year's up here. Handful of calls for service and intoxicated people and things like that, but nothing else really of note. I mean, so it looked like a busy agenda tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Always good to see you. Say you look great in your uniform. It's good to see you back in the uniform, and Happy New Year to you and all your deputies. Thanks for all the press releases too. I know you come here and you give us a little blurb about what's been going on the last 2 weeks, but the press releases for the whole county are great for all of us because we can see what you're doing, what you're dealing with, what you're going through. And it's the last 3 years have been a breath of fresh air because we get to know what's going on in Fernley and in Lyon County. So it's good to see you back in uniform. Looked like you were on an undercover stint for a while, but glad you're back. And like I said, Happy New Year. We look forward to your next presentation.
Yeah, thanks.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around just randomly throwing rocks. Like, I hope it was like medical or like some kind of mental health type thing, but I'm still trying to figure out what the motive was, especially if it wasn't just fast food, because I could, if it was just fast, anyways. I wanted to say thank you for New Year's because I was driving down Main Street at probably like 11:30. I probably saw like 7 deputies. I was like, we don't even have this many assigned to our city. So, and just out and about and just really like monitoring our roadways. So I was impressed. I was sober, so I was not nervous about it, but I was just impressed at the amount of patrol cars that I saw. So that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. We have definitely identified over the last couple of years some of our peak times and some of the more active events around the city, and we do try and increase staffing here. I think we had, I think it was 8 deputies and a sergeant working on New Year's here in the city. And so the idea is to suppress some of that crime and some of those incidents, and it appeared to be effective this year. So thank you for the recognition of that.
All right, thank you. I don't see anybody here from the fire department and school district.
Yeah, Billy just walked.
Oh, there he is. Mr. Snyder. Okay. He thought he was slipping in under the radar. He did with me, but Councilman Torres seen him. Okay, so they have no report. All right, we'll move on to line item 4, proclamations by the mayor. There are none at this time. So we'll move on to line item 5, ordinances. 5.1, introduction, first reading of Bill 371 in association with CA 25005, code amendment initiated by the city of Fernley to amend Title 32, Chapter 6, Section 150-2, use table of the development code to allow the use of recreational facility
Mayor.
major.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? We're going to go back to line item 3. I'm really jumping ahead of myself here tonight. So we're now go through reports from council. Councilman Hannan, you want to start?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy New Year, everyone. I have nothing at this time.
Ward 2, Councilwoman Zaberski.
I have nothing at this time.
Ward 3, Councilman Lau.
I have nothing.
Ward 4, Councilman Torres.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Ward 5, Councilman Mendoza.
0.
0. Well, the only thing I want to say is Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope everybody has a healthy, happy, and prosperous New Year. All right.
Wait.
Now we'll go.
Wait, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I do have.
Oh, you have a report.
Yes, I just want to
Oh, I
congratulate.
see your, okay, go ahead.
Sandy Harris as she promotes to the new deputy city clerk. So I'm excited to have her.
Yes.
Yes. Yay.
And I'm sure she'll do a fine job in that position, as always. We've had a little bit of movement around the office, so that has created that position opening that Ms. Sandy has just received. Any other department heads? No? Okay. So now we'll move on to 5.1. Introductory and first reading of Bill 371 in association with CA 25005, a code amendment initiated by the City of Fernley to amend Title 32, Chapter 6, Section 105-2, table use of the Development Code to allow for recreational facility major in the 1 industrial zoning district of a conditional use permit.
Good evening, Madam Clerk, Mayor, City Council, Tristan Rodriguez, Associate Planner for the record. This item is being brought forward for introduction and first reading only. No action will be taking place this evening. Agenda item 5.1 is a proposed amendment to Title 32, Chapter 6 of the Fernley Municipal Code, which would allow for the use of recreational facility major within the industrial zoning district, subject to approval with the conditional use permit. Public notice for this item has already been provided in accordance with state law and the development code, and the full staff presentation in public hearing will occur at the second reading later this month. So there's an opportunity to have a more robust conversation at that time. However, I'm available for questions if anyone has any.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Move on to line item 5.2, possible action, introductory, first reading of a request from the Planning Department to amend the City Fernley Development Code, Title 32, Chapter 9, Section 70, grading, and Chapter 2, Section 30, definitions to add definition for grubbing, standard grading, and engineered grading to clarify grading permit thresholds, slopes, limitations, erosion, dust control, inspection, bonding, and enforcement requirements. That's bill number 370 CA 25004.
Alrighty, good evening, Council. Tristan Rodriguez, Associate Planner for the record. This is another introduction and first reading, and again, no action is requested this evening. Agenda item 5.2 is a proposed amendment to Title 32, Chapters 2 and 9 of the Fernley Municipal Code, which would clarify grading definitions and update grading permit thresholds, slope limitations, and erosion and dust control requirements. Notice for this item has been provided in accordance with applicable state law and the development code, and a full staff presentation and public hearing are scheduled to occur at the second reading later this month. I'm available for questions for this item as well.
Councilwoman Zabriskie.
The only questions that, hello, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
The only questions that I had was it says the amendment adds a permit requirement for clearing, and I don't know what grubbing is. So that's one, of 1 acre or more. And so I'm just curious if we still have a solid amount of, like farming land, more of our, we have people that still do, farming and clearing of fields and whatnot. And so I guess I'm really the question, and feel free to take your time and just bring the answer back to the next meeting, but I think I just need more clarification on how that looks. I don't want to tell, my neighbor that has 5 acres that, irrigates and then clears or something, that he has to go get a permit every time he does that. So I'm just clarification on that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, and I'll be sure to clarify that at the second reading later this month.
Thank you.
Councilman Lau.
Yeah, I'd like to clarify that for you, Felicity. Grubbing is when you take the brush off the ground, off the land is grubbing, burning and grubbing. So you take your sagebrush, willows, trees, and you remove that. That's called grubbing.
And I guess I'll add one more thing. I do have the definition in front of me for grubbing. The definition that we are proposing is the removal and disposal of stumps, roots, brush, and other organic material from at or below the natural ground surface in preparation for grading, excavation, or construction. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to line item 5.3 for possible action, introductory and first reading of Bill 375, a code amendment initiated by City Councilman Torres to amend Title II, Chapter 2, Section 4, powers and duties of the city manager. B, exceptions to authority, updating the evaluation process.
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney. I'm filling in today for Deputy City Manager Lydia Altick, who is not present. This is just a first reading and not for action. For an amendment to the City Manager section, how this would change it is that it would require that the mayor every year for the evaluation the city manager receives, that he first solicits from each member of council an evaluation that he would then include in informing his evaluation. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. We will now move on to, make sure I got this right. Line item 6, staff report 6.1, possible action, interviews and consideration of 2 candidates for the city manager position, possible appointment. If the applicant for the city manager position, the council may consider the character, professional competence of the following candidates for the city manager position, Amy Stevenson and Andy Ramirez. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Eric from CPS HR.
Test that out there. All right. So my name is Eric Von Savage. I'm with CPS HR Consulting. We are a joint power authority that specializes in public sector, and we were contracted by the city of Fernley to assist with the city manager search. So just a quick overview of kind of what we did, and then I'll also do a quick overview and walkthrough of your packet before we start in with the interviews. So in our search, we started by working with the city employees and collecting feedback from city employees, from the city council members, and from the mayor to build an ideal candidate profile. And then we used that ideal candidate profile to promote that on a variety of industry-specific platforms, and also to promote that directly to active candidates and inactive candidates that might be interested in this particular role. And then we did an aggressive outreach to communicate with those candidates and screen the candidates and narrow them down. We received 92 applicants and have screened those down to what we now have is 2 finalists. So tonight you have in front of you a packet that includes our schedule for today. So we'll start with Andy Ramirez and then second interview with Amy Stevenson. There are interview questions in the packet. And so there's a question for each council member to be able to ask the candidates directly. And so you may want to assign those before we get started, just for efficiency of the interview process. And then also in the packet is included the candidate profile, their resume, and additional information that they provided in the screening process.
So to get started, what we'll do is Ward 1 will ask the first question, and we'll go right on down the line so everybody has a question, and then I will be answering question 6.
Okay.
Asking question 6.
Perfect.
So that's our order.
Okay. All right. So without further ado then, I will have Andy Ramirez come and we can start
Okay.
our interviews. Okay.
The questions are in your she didn't.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Andy Ramirez.
Okay, Councilman Hannon, you have the first question for Mr. Ramirez.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Describe a time you faced strong opposition from elected officials, community, or staff regarding a major policy or operational decision. How did you navigate the situation while maintaining integrity and trust on all sides?
I have found it very important to communicate early on and to have active engagement early on. I do recall having an experience where there has been competing priorities from electeds and the community. And as a city manager, it's critically important to make sure that you're at the forefront communicating with your electeds, the mayor, the city council, having a public forums, especially if you're going to be doing a park improvement, if you're going to be updating the general plan. It's critically important that the city manager is at the forefront. Even though you may have disagreements, you may have folks that have different perspectives. I think the role of the city manager is to be the great facilitator and ensure that he or she is receiving all the input and helping navigate the city council and the mayor through the process.
Okay, Councilwoman Zaberski?
It feels strange that I'm asking you these questions from a sheet and not out of my brain.
That's okay. It's okay.
And I don't envy you because I've had to do a public interview before and you're doing much better than I did.
Thank you.
Okay, provide an example of how you have communicated complex financial information to a non-technical audience, such as city council, community group, or the public, and explain how you ensured transparency and understanding. That's the first part, so I'll just stop there.
I appreciate your kindness. Thankfully, we're living in a day and age where there is software that provides high transparency, and I think the cities that get behind that do their best. In fact, in the cities that I have been in, I've implemented a software called OpenGov, and it provides great transparency, but at a 6th grade level. And that is not to look down upon anybody's education, but to make sure that it's understandable. And so it allows for there to be a high level perspective of what each department has for their budget, what funds are coming in to fund their budget. And then it allows a person to go ahead and then do a deep dive. If they want to see what the line items are, they know what they are. So the transparency is really important. So I think that by implementing software that's readily available is important if we don't have it already or if it's not working currently. As a city manager, I think it's vital to ensure that each council member here has been afforded the opportunity to get a perspective at a 6th grade level of the budget. Ask those questions, whether it's in a workshop setting or if it's even on a one-on-one with the finance director and myself, and then go deeper as needed. I think that transparency is key. And the more transparent we are as an organization, as a city, it builds trust. And that's a key role for the city manager, is to build the trust.
Great, thank you. Additionally, describe a time when you restructured or streamlined operations to improve efficiency and accountability, including the measurable results you achieved.
You know, that really only happens after a thorough assessment has occurred. And I have been able to do that throughout my career, where I look at the organization, but from a different lens. And what do I mean by that? One is you have the lens of the city council. City council may have a perspective of how they want the city to be ran. And so that's very important. And with that direction, that overall direction, then it allows me to look at each operation or each department and see, is it organized well? For example, do we have too many administrative assistants? Do we have enough management analysts to do some of the deeper thinking and do the deeper analysis? Does the director have an assistant? So those are all questions that come up in an assessment period. And so I have been involved in promoting people, transferring staff to better roles that fit their expertises. And that just brings it elevates the organization to a place where it's highly efficient. So I've had experience doing that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Lau?
Give an example of how you've built trust and alignment between elected officials and staff in a politically charged environment.
It's fortunate and unfortunate that politics is part of the livelihood of any organization. But I think what's even more important is to have a leader that is willing to have a personal relationship with each individual. And what do I mean by that? As a city manager, my perspective is that I want to be approachable, accessible. I want to be able to be at a position where folks know that they can walk into my office, they can set up an appointment and build those relationships. With elected officials and even with staff, my experience has been sometimes the office is not the best place to meet. Sometimes you got to take a walk in the park, and some folks like to have a cup of coffee. Whatever that environment is, to make it conducive to build a relationship, I'm all about that. I think that it's important that at the end of the day, that we all realize that we are individuals that have feelings. We're all individuals that have dreams and aspirations. We're all individuals that have families. And so I come to it in a very human way. And I think that's important in building trust.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Torres?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is kind of a two-part question, a little long.
Okay. Would you mind breaking it up for me?
Absolutely not a problem.
Thank you.
This is on strategic vision and innovation. Two-part question. Part A. Fernley is one of Nevada's fastest growing cities. How would you approach developing a long-term growth strategy that balances infrastructure expansion with preservation of the community's small town character?
I do know that Fernley has deep roots, rural roots. In fact, today I was able to have a tour of the city and to see some of the older areas, to see some of the newer areas, the construction and the development. I think it's important that as a city manager, the goal of the city manager is to implement the policies that are set forth by this council. And so though I may have ideas, my ideas would be coming based off of recommendations and options to present to you for direction, and then the implementation of me and the staff. And I think that's critically important. The city manager is not a council member or the mayor, but the implementer of the policies here of this council. So to me, that's very important to set the tone. In doing so, I think that as we continue to do community engagement with nonprofits, with residents, with the business community, I think the more that we're dialoguing, the more that we're putting together a plan of action, will provide strategically how development is made. So for instance, if the general plan, the specific plan has identified areas to be rural and open space, we want to make sure that we're guiding the developers so that that's respected, so that is enhanced, so that people feel a sense of pride that these areas have been well designated to preserve the character of the city. And so as a city manager, along with the staff, we would be guiding developers to make sure that that is completed to satisfaction.
Thank you. Part two. Additionally, how do you evaluate when to introduce innovative, business-minded solutions in a municipal environment that may be risk-averse or bound by regulation?
I kind of go back to the software I was mentioning just earlier, because there are modules that are not only for a financial side of things, but then also for the streamlining and permitting side of things. And so I think that I could stand here before you and tell you that I believe the staff is looking for always better ways to doing business. And so as the city manager, I think it's important that I empower the staff to look for innovative ideas that will improve the overall organization. And so in one example I can give you, there are many divisions within a city. So for instance, you have somebody that comes in and wants to get a business license. They want to maybe build, they want to do an update to the building, a list of things. Well, in the traditional sense of many cities, you'll have a person come to the front counter, pay for a business license, then be handed off to another division, and then from that division be handed off to another division. And so there's not a one-stop shop. And so being a city manager, it's really important that we see those opportunities to streamline and make sure we're a one-stop shop for people. What does that mean? Well, do we have all of our standards done so we can present that to people? Do we have a streamlined process where any developer, once they submit something, they're going to hear back within X amount of days? Those are all things that I believe are innovative in the sense that it gets business going quicker. And I've been able to spearhead a lot of those processes in other cities.
Councilman Mendoza.
Mr. Ramirez, thank you for coming out and going through the process. I'm sure it wasn't a quick process at all.
Thank you.
Question 5. How have you built effective intergovernmental relationships with regional agencies, utilities, or neighboring jurisdictions to advance your city's goals?
I can give you two brief examples. One, in my career, our city was part of a COG, a Council of Governments. And there was 11 cities that wanted to figure out a way that they could obtain the assets from a local utility, namely the streetlights, because the cost of that was being passed down to the cities were pretty astronomical for operations and maintenance, and things of that nature. So I was one of only 5 cities that guided 11 cities to work with the Public Utilities Commission and the local utility to actually purchase about 53,000 streetlights, retrofit those to LED, reduce costs by about 90%. And over a 20-year period, the 11 cities will be saving about $70 million. And that's all done in that example with several agencies working all at the same time. And we were able to do that in record speed. A second one, probably just as practical and maybe even more practical, in my time at the city of Palm Desert, we did not own utilities, but we did have our public works and engineering teams. And we needed to repave a main corridor within the city, a business corridor. And so in order to actually do the work, we had to coordinate with the local gas company, the local water district, the power utility. And so you had several folks that you had to deal with on top of working with the businesses that were going to be affected with this new capital improvement project. So there was a lot of things going on at the same time. But what was key was being able to know who the players were on the table and have that open communication and make sure that we check those boxes off so we can complete a project. Well, that project that was on the books for about 6 years was completed during my time in less than 9 months. But all of that goes back down to relationships, communication, and making sure that we're having a collaboration amongst our other agencies.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, last question. You ready for it?
I'll do my best.
If you were selected for the position, what is your 30 60, and 90-day plan to get to know the City of Fernley staff and City Council to create collaborative working relationships.
I think it's really important to come in with a listening ear. I think it's going to be very important, not only the first 30, 60, 90 days, but throughout the term of my employment here, to ensure that I have a listening ear, that I'm highly engaged in hearing what's going on from the department heads and among staff. One of the things I like to do to break the ice is to go out in the field with the public works teams, with the utilities teams, and see what they're doing and do a drive along. I think one of the important things a city manager can do is get his hands dirty and show effort. And so I think that helps with identification and building the relationships within the departments. But parallel to that, Mr. Mayor and Council, I'll be diving deep into our fiscal house. I'll be diving deep into hearing from each one of you, your priorities as a council, to understand how that lines up with the vision and the strategic priorities of this council, so that it's weaved into all of my conversations. So it's weaved into the planning internally with the staff. I also believe greatly in getting with each department and spending time with them and their department director, so that they feel like they have support and hear what needs they might have, and work with the director to provide those resources. I've had a great success doing that among several departments. I open it up with icebreaker. We'll have some refreshments. We'll have a motivational talk or video, and we'll spend time updating each department on what other departments are doing, and then inviting some of the directors from the other departments to come into the others and share what's going on in the city. And I think that brings people together quickly. So that's all done within the first, 90 days, really. I would also tell you that within that time, you'll be receiving overwhelming communication from me back to you, so that you are not only heard, but that at the same time you see all of the great work that your staff is doing. I think it's really important that the council is receiving that communication.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And that's the last of our questions to you. And,
Well, thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll take a 10-minute break. We could have Councilwoman Zabriskie up on the dais.
So as long as that green light is on. Yeah.
All right, once again, Eric from CPS HR.
All right, so I have here with me Amy Stevenson as your next candidate. Amy?
So what we have is we have 6 questions for you. Each one of the council members will ask you a question, and then I'll ask the last question. So we're going to start with Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening.
Good evening.
Describe a time you faced strong opposition from elected officials, community, or staff regarding a major policy or operational decision. How did you navigate the situation while maintaining integrity and trust in all sides?
This is a very good question. It's kind of scary question, but for the record, Amy Stevenson, Stephenson. One of the hardest ones is when COVID first hit. I was overseeing the state veterans home, both in the South and the North, when I worked for the Department of Veteran Services. And there was a mandate from our director that everybody, staff needed to have a COVID-19 vaccine, regardless of belief. So as you well know, it's not an easy policy to implement, but our director felt that this was their home, and so they needed to be protected, and we needed to move forward as leadership to make that happen. So how I approached that is I got all the information that I possibly could so I could educate the staff, the residents, the family members, everybody who I had to communicate to so that they knew why the decision was being made. And then I brought our director of healthcare services, our medical director, in to answer any questions, calm any fears, give a subject matter expert that could allow them to voice their concerns or say, why do I need to do this? Because at that time, the vaccine was still, I don't know that it was just approved. So it was hard to sell, so to speak. So I just kept aligned. I respected the human being behind people giving the care. I respected the decision our director made and just explained the benefits and the why. Just kept answering questions, stayed with them, constant communication, follow through. Are you doing okay? And if they decided they didn't want it I helped them find another place to go. I didn't just say, you're out of here. So I did find that other place to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Zabriskie.
Hi.
Hi.
This is a 2-part question, so I'll just do the first one and then take a break and do the second. Operational and fiscal management. Part A, provide an example of how you have communicated complex financial information to a non-technical audience, such as city council, community group, or the public, and explain how you ensured transparency and understanding.
That's a very good first part. I'm afraid to hear what the second part is. First part, operational finance is my background. I have a degree in accounting and an MBA. I have found, I think I picked the wrong profession or the wrong degree to have, because I find I'm a people person, not just a math person. So numbers people tend to understand the numbers in their brain, but have a hard time translating it over. So for example, when I was at the governor's office, I had to constantly explain to directors who may be not fiscal savvy what the priorities of the governor were. And I would liken it to something that they were familiar with. for instance, a checkbook, a home checkbook, a home budget, or something that they were familiar with, but I got to know them and their communication style first to find out what they would best relate to. And then I would explain the decision moving forward or the fiscal information I had to move forward with their with that common knowledge.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additionally, describe a time when you restructured or streamlined operations to improve efficiency and accountability, including the measurable results you achieved.
That's a fun question too. Why'd they give you all the fun questions?
Yeah. I can reread that part if you
Please
need
do.
me to.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Additionally, describe a time when you restructured or streamlined operations to improve efficiency and accountability, including the measurable results you achieved.
Perfect. Again, I'm going to use an example that when I was at the Department of Veteran Services. So I ran their fiscal unit before I actually oversaw the home, or the homes, excuse me. And in that, they were kind of siloed in their operations for the home. They did all of the accounting operations down in Boulder City in the home. Well, that didn't help for the Fernley operations up here. It didn't help for Northern Nevada offices that we had, and it really didn't help even in our Las Vegas offices because they didn't understand the region or the area that they were having to deal with. So I centralized fiscal operations. So yes, I did bring them, but I brought them in a more central unit where those staff had to learn all the regions and know like everything that was going on. I also made sure that they were trained in hospital billing for the home. With that, the measurable result you're looking for is I brought in $1.8 million in revenue, which was a lot for 23 because we were leaving that on the table because we weren't billing correctly because they didn't know how without the training. So by training, being accessible and centralizing operations. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Lau.
This question is communications, public engagement, and relationships. Give an example of how you've built trust and alignment between elected officials and staff in a politically charged environment.
What? That never happens. Everybody gets along, right? Honestly, communication and real listening. I will say that I had the pleasure of serving for the governor and at the legislature. So having to communicate, saying we're both here for Nevadans. We want what's best. Aligning to the outcome and just respecting the other person. Again, getting to know that other person and their communication style, and then saying, okay, what is it that you want to see? What is it, the shared outcome that we have? What's the goal? And how can we get there? Even if we have to compromise, what's the compromise to get there so that we can accomplish the goal?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilman Torres.
Okay, this as well as a two-part strategic vision and innovation. Part A, Fernley is one of Nevada's fastest growing cities. How would you approach developing a long-term growth strategy that balances infrastructure expansion with preservation of the community's small town character?
It's a super good question because to make Fernley the small town that makes it special. I was just thinking about this. We were talking about this earlier during the meet and greet. So how I would approach that is align long-term planning with transparent communication with the residents to ensure that Fernley understands the why behind the big decisions of why what's happening. I find that when you tell them the why, they're more apt to go along, or they're more apt to ask more questions, kind of like the example I used with the COVID-19 vaccines and those. When you understand the reasoning behind it, and it's not just to make their lives miserable or better, whichever one way you want to go. as strong, and I also bring with me strong relationships with state agencies and federal partners, which is critical for ensuring funding for those. We had a question about how I was going to find $70 million for water. I think someone wanted water. And I was thinking in my head, well, who can I, if Fernley doesn't have it, who has it that we could help? Who could I'm really good at using other people's money, by the way, to figure out like what we possibly need to do to make that happen if we can't do it within ourselves. So I'm going back to your question, the intentional long-term planning, and then just making sure the needs of the community are met, and over communication at that point, or letting them know that the small town feel of Fernley is important.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And part B, additionally, how do you evaluate when to introduce innovative, business-minded solutions in a municipal environment that may be risk-averse or bound by regulation?
So how do you introduce innovation is what your question was. I just want to make sure, if you don't mind.
You want me to repeat?
Please.
Not a problem at all. Additionally, how do you evaluate when to introduce innovative, business-minded solutions in a municipal environment that may be risk-averse or bound by regulation?
Thank you. You kind of get a feel for it, honestly. So you assess, you analyze what's going right, what's going wrong by asking the people who are doing the work, the residents, the council members, everybody involved with it, to see what's going right, what's going wrong. And then being super informed so that you can answer the questions of why we can innovate or why not to innovate in certain cases, what the drawback is, or what the benefit to the city, what the benefit to residents, what the benefit to everybody is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Mendoza.
Thank you for being here tonight and taking the time to interview with us. Question number 5. How have you built effective intergovernmental relationships with regional agencies, utilities, or neighboring jurisdictions to advance your city's goals or organization's goals?
Thank you. And I feel like I'm going to beat a dead horse. That constant communication, always being available, humility, warmth, honesty. Relationship building is kind of what I really enjoy about public service, to be honest, is getting to know how whatever policy is going to impact and how I can help them understand or go through it. So it's that constant communication, the respecting the other person's decision, even brainstorming together, saying, this is what I'm thinking, what are you thinking, and getting all inputs, because not one person can know everything. So you're better, more minds are better than one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Amy, the last question is mine. If you were selected to the position, what would your 30, 60, 90-day plan be to get to know the city of Fernley and city council to create collaborative working relationships?
Ooh, the 30, 60, 90 plan. First 30 days is listening and gathering information and absorbing. That's from everybody. That's going around to citizens and introducing myself and say, okay, what is it you need? That is talking to everybody that works in the city, saying, okay, what's working, what's not working. That's getting to know what they actually do, and finding out, okay, what is it we need? What are our goals? Reading the strategic plan, if the city has a strategic plan. You mentioned a 10-year plan. I would read that to see what our immediate goals are for expansion, what our short-term goals are, long-term goals, and then go from there. The 60-day mark, I still think I would be in information gathering, because 30 days is sometimes not enough, especially. But at that point, start making some recommendations, building my communications with the council, or making observation, excuse me, is the word I was looking for, making some observations and saying, is this the right path? Make sure I'm aligned with the vision that both that you and the council have made. I see the city manager's role really as the bridge to making sure that policy is implemented through whatever your vision is. And so the 90 days would be putting those recommendations into action.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
That
you.
that is all the questions we have for you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to take a break and I will consult with each council person individually. Okay. All right, this meeting is now back in session. And after having spoke with all council at this time, I want to thank Amy Stevenson and Andrew Ramirez for the interview process that they went through. But at this time, we will not be bringing any of the two candidates forward for the city manager position. I don't have to have a vote on that, do I, or no? Okay. So we will move on to line item 6.2, which is of no need to discuss action to negotiate or approve a letter of to the selected city manager candidate at this time. So now we will move on to line item 7.1, discussion possible action regarding canceling the July 1st, 2026 City Council meeting due to City of Fernley 25th anniversary. This was brought forward by Councilman Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Hannon, seconded by Councilman Lau to defer this to the 21st meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. Please vote on that. Motion carries 5-0. And just to let the public know what our next steps is, what we'll be doing now is we will be looking at some of the other candidates that applied for this job and see if they're still interested. Council has asked me to try to form a committee that would be apprised of the police chief, the sheriff, maybe the Chief Bunn with North Line Fire, maybe a council person out of Sparks, a mayor from Fallon, or some other high dignitary people that maybe might have bring a different conception, different prospect to the interview process of the next candidates that come forward. So CPS HR will be working on that. And hopefully our process does not take 6 months because, as you know, we are in the budget process at the moment. And so I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody on the committee, and I want to thank this council for your comments, and we will move forward from there. Let's see, line item 8, address requests for future agendized items. Do we have any of those? All right, seeing none. Did you? Oh, well, we did have one little comment, and I guess this would go to John, but we would like to see this reinstalled. I know he's not here, but Mr. Williams, maybe you can speak with John on getting this other form put up here for the acoustics on the building. And then we have these white things hanging in front. We'd like to see those removed if we could, please. I think they're little hangers. I think they had wreaths or something hung on them during Christmas. So if we can get those removed, that'd be great.
We can take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Line item 9, public forum. This portion of the meeting devoted to the public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or use your hand feature in Zoom, starting if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public comment at this time?
Good evening, everybody, mayor, council, people. My name is Patty Palmer and I'm a Fernley resident. And I just have a comment on, I think it was the last meeting where we had the fire chief, battalion chief came up and he was talking about the possible closing of the other station here in Fernley. And that really bothered me. I lost sleep over it. And the fact that somebody said, oh, that's just too bad. I just thought, wow, isn't there something that the council can do about that? Isn't there some money that, you know, or some help that the community, that the, you know, the city of Fernley can provide to the fire stations? And all of this master plans and all of these buildings that are being proposed, how in the heck are they, I mean, and you know, housing, how are we going to be able to take care of the people in Fernley when these guys are working 96-hour shifts and they can't man 2 stations? That makes no sense to me. So my plan is to be the Tammy Dittman of this issue. So that's all I have to say on that. And this won't be the last time I'm up here because I'm really concerned about it. And like I said, I really lost sleep on it and it's unacceptable. Thank you.
Well, so I just want to make a really quick comment that if you'd like, I have an open door policy. Please come in and talk to me. We'll sit down and talk.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment at this time? Anybody on Zoom? You want to talk? Oh, Councilman Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank the candidates for applying and good luck on their job search.
Thank you. All right, there's nobody on Zoom for public comment, nobody on the phone. Okay, our next meeting will be January 21st at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned.